Good morning. Thanks everyone for joining us today. If you're just getting here, we are asking, I should say, for you to enter your name, your title, and your email in the chat. This is being recorded, as you can see. I'm Khari Milner. I'm co-director of the Agenda for Children Out of School Time, and we are working alongside the district to support programs inside CPS buildings this summer. Thanks to everyone who's been on top of what we've asked in terms of MOUs being signed and sent in, and other building-based requests and steps that some people have already had to take. So we're going to go through the slides, and then we'll have some time for Q&A. Maggie, are you hearing us? I keep asking Maggie because she's my co-facilitator. So
Hi, yes, I apologize. I was having some technical trouble, but I am here and I'm so excited to see everyone. Good morning.
Great. Thank you, Maggie, and Vidad is also with us today from CPS Facilities. Let's jump into the slides. So I'm going to take care of the welcome and give you a quick overview. We will be talking about roles and responsibilities, kind of shared expectations, if you will, between both, programs, staff, the district, and also building leadership. We'll be talking about building supports and other specifics about what's expected in each building. Student health and safety is still an important category. We'll have some Q&A and then also talk about some next steps. So I just want to, lift up how important summertime is for our community, for our city, for our district, and most importantly, for our young people. We know that their experiences over the summer can make a huge difference in their development, in their interests, and their ability to learn, and ultimately for them to come back in the fall ready to roll and be successful during the school year. And we know that running programs in the school buildings are very helpful in terms of being safe spaces, as long as we are going by policies and paying attention to the details. So let's get into that. I mean, as you'll see today, let me also just say this. We have community-based organizations who are running programs in schools. We have programs run by Department of Human Services. And of course, we have programs being run by Cambridge Public Schools itself. Next slide, please. So these are the names of the folks that are most directly connected to summer supports. As you saw, there's 26 at this point programs that will be across all the CPS buildings. And you'll hear from some of these folks today, but you also get these slides afterwards for reference. You will also get our contact info. So I won't read through all of this, but please take note if you have questions about any of these areas after this Zoom, you know who to look out for. Okay, so one thing I want to emphasize is there's an expectation that an MOU is signed by community and city partners, not required for CPS run programs, but for everyone else. And we had asked that, they be turned in at the end of May, and we've extended it through the 22nd of June, but the sooner the better that you can get those to us. And you can email it to myself and or Maggie. If you have any questions, just email me about how to scan or how to get it to me. And there's the link to the MOU form in the slides. That's what you see there. Basically the same type of MOU we did last year, a couple of different updates, but pretty straightforward. Next slide. And just in case you're wondering if we've received yours, here's the ones that we've received so far. And so if you did send one in, or you think you did, to myself or Maggie, just loop back to us. If you still need to get it in, we will still definitely accept it.
Great. And so I can help with this transition. Thank you so much, Khari. And I know I came on in a blur. So just to introduce myself, I'm Khari's I can't think of the word, but I'm Khari on the school side. So I help oversee school vacation week and summer programs on behalf of the district. And so we wanted to introduce Vidad Konjak to folks who haven't met him yet, and he'll go over this slide, and then I'll take it over from Vidad.
Great, thank you, Maggie. I hope everyone can hear me okay. My name is Vidad Konjak. I'm Director of Facilities for Cambridge Public Schools. I want to thank you all for joining us today. It's really encouraging to see that we have so many participants, at this meeting, and that we can go through, kind of the protocol and everything that needs to be done for the summer programs to be, successful. The buildings will be open for summer use starting June 27th through August 19th. I expect that some of you will want to start setting up on June 27th. If you are planning on actually having students on in June, I would like to ask you to send me an email just to let me know which school and how many students. We are planning some fire sprinkler testing, which is required to be done every 5 years, in addition to quarterly and annual testing. And this is kind of we're planning to do it from the 22nd through the end of June. And it's really important that I know, when we scheduled this, we were hoping the buildings are not going to be all that occupied, and we can still proceed with the testing, but we just need to know if there are students in the building and how many and where. So if you could send me an email with that information, that'd be great. If you're just coming in to set up your stuff, that's fine. That should not be an issue. The program should be packed, by the end of the day on Friday, August 18th. By the contract, we need to provide 2 weeks before the start of the school to the custodians to do the final cleaning of the rooms. They're going to be working while you're in the buildings. The rooms that are not being used, they will be going in there doing deep cleaning, refinishing of the floors and all of that. And they will be instructed to keep any rooms that are not authorized to be used by you guys, to keep those rooms locked. So please, I would ask you to not to use the rooms that are not assigned to you. If you realize that you need more space than what's been allotted to you, please reach out to Khari, please reach out to Maggie. We can probably, work things out, but please, do not go into rooms that are, slated to be, done by our custodial staff or, have already been done. As you probably heard, there will be some buildings with, some work, some construction work, which is, obviously a little bit more extensive than, just a custodial cleaning that takes place over the summer. Most importantly, we are hoping to be working at Haggerty Plaza, which means that the front of the building will most likely, be off limits. That's the part on the Cushing Street, the main entrance to the building. The other two entrances to the building on the sides, one from the playground and one from, I forgot the name of the street, but Lawn, I want to say it's Lawn Street. Those two entrances, will be accessible. We will have other projects, throughout the district, smaller projects. They will be done either by our staff or the contractors. We will definitely try to stay out of your way, as much as possible. And on occasions, we will have to coordinate perhaps, some work that may impact you. But again, as long as we stay in touch, should be no problem. If you're experiencing any issues with any of the work that we are doing, please let us know. And any issues, anything that happens along the way, we really appreciate if you could, communicate to us as soon as possible so that we can, address it. I would like to ask you, obviously, to be, respectful to our property, to our buildings. We obviously spend, a lot of money and time, maintaining them, trying to make them, look as, presentable as possible to our students. And we would really appreciate it, just like you take care of them, throughout the year, that's the case with the summer, as well. Most of you probably, know me. We have exchanged emails or calls and whatnot. Feel free to, get in touch with me. My, phone number and my email, is listed. I believe, Khari and Maggie added it to the list of contacts. That's my cell phone. So if you can't reach, Maggie, you can reach Khari. My cell phone is always on. Please, feel free to call me. I would, I'd rather know. Don't think I don't want to bother him. Please do bother me. And please do let me know what's going on and, how we can help. So I hope you have a great summer. That's all.
Awesome. Thanks, Vidad. And could we go back one slide, please, just for a second? I just wanted to highlight something. So around permits, folks who are in CPS know that our permits office has had some transition over the past few months. So we're just finalizing some of those permits, but we did make the building assignment sheet available to everyone so they can, you already know what buildings you're in. There are a lot of folks who know what classrooms they're in, and you'll see on this sheet a couple of the big buildings we're still finalizing a bit. But if you have any questions, like Vidad said, you can direct those to me and we'll be getting those sorted out. So thank you. And so we can go to the next slide. And then I'm going to take it from here just to tell you a little bit about the other supports that we have in the buildings. So these, in addition to Khari, Vidad, and I, who all work 12 months and are available, your primary point of contacts in the buildings are our summer building coordinators. And folks who've worked in CPS buildings over the past few years are familiar with this role, familiar with these individuals. And basically who they are is they're your point person in the building. So they oversee daily operations, they help enforce policies that help keep the building safe and you and your students safe and secure throughout the summer. So just a quick recap of what they are there to do and what they aren't there to do. So operations issues, they should be your first call. They can help connect you with people in the building, or if it's an issue that needs help beyond the building, they can help connect you with those folks. If there is an emergency or an incident, of course, use your best judgment. If it's a 911 emergency, call 911, but please let the building coordinator know as soon as possible because we have some protocols around incident reports that we're going to want to fill out just to make sure everything's set. Our coordinators, also true to their name, are going to work with all of you to coordinate use of shared spaces, so how to have as calm and orderly as possible arrival and dismissals, schedules for using shared spaces, and they'll also help you coordinate meals. And then finally, we'll get into this a little later around safety, but they will hold copies of all of the program rosters. So that way, in the event of an emergency, we know everyone who's supposed to be in the building. So that's just another important role that they have. And just a quick reminder, the coordinators, though they're in the main office, they're not responsible for managing student behavior, and they are not responsible for contacting families on behalf of programs. So just to help make that distinction, they're really operations as opposed to traditional principal, vice principal role in a building. So just want to say that. Zena, could you go to the next slide, please? I also wanted to introduce our summer building coordinators. So we're happy to say that this position feels like it's been working pretty well over the last few years. So we have expanded to a few additional sites. So this year we'll have a building coordinator at the Amigos. We'll have one at the Tobin who can provide some support to CRLS. And I wanted to shout out, I noticed at least one of our building coordinators is on the call right now. I think Cheryl's here, so hooray, welcome Cheryl. But this is the list of the coordinators, their buildings, and general contact information. And I also want to share some of our smaller buildings with fewer programs don't have a direct coordinator, but I'm available to check in with those folks if you need any help around sharing space, questions, that sort of thing. At CRLS, as in past years, the Public Safety Office is there and staffed throughout the summer. So Kim will help out a bit with some of the coordination pieces, but always your first point of contact if there's an incident should be public safety. And I know Khari probably said we'll have time for Q&A at the end, so I'll just keep going. But you know, if folks have questions, please note them down and we'll answer them at the end. So those are our building coordinators. Thank you so much. And then what our building coordinators are going to do in their role as building coordinators is they're going to reach out to you to check in about the following, just making sure that everything's good to go. So they'll be leading room walkthroughs over the course of this month into the first week of July, depending on the program start dates. They'll work with you on badge access to the building. We'll follow a similar procedure from past years where community programs who aren't usually in our buildings, we can give you a limited number of temporary badges that you can use with your staff. And then folks who already have CPS badges will key those so they work in the buildings you're in. So our building coordinators will help coordinate that process. Again, arrival dismissal, shared spaces, any ICTS requests, they can help field. And then finally, we've covered those other pieces. So awesome, thank you. And then again, food delivery, we're happy to share that we'll be using the CPS Free Summer Meals Program. I know Claudia Cruz and Barry Walsh at the city have been reaching out to people, have been collecting site information forms. I wanted to pass along the message that your site information form for meals should already be in. So if you haven't put it in, please reach out to Claudia and Barry as soon as possible so we can guarantee that they will have food ordered for your site. We also just want to flag that we know in past years, the meals program had specific limitations put in place by the government. And we're happy to share that the City of Cambridge is making up that difference. So any program that wouldn't qualify, the City of Cambridge is stepping in to help make sure that meals are available to everyone, which we really appreciate. And then as in past years, but for folks who are new to City Meals, you do need to identify a point person who will be trained in meal distribution, and we'll have more details about the supports. Claudia and Barry will reach out to you guys with information about those trainings and what on-site folks need to be prepared to do in terms of documentation for the government, all that good stuff. So that's meals. And then finally, we just wanted to have a few specific slides about student health and safety. And these are, you'll note, those of us who've been with us a few years, that there's a whole block of slides that we've pulled out because of COVID. And a lot of those restrictions have been relaxed. So I guess I'm just saying off the cuff that, I'll get to it in a minute, my off the cuff remarks. But I just wanted to note that for folks, this will be a much shorter section than it's been in past years. But again, I do want to underline the importance of us having access to student information. So we are requiring all the programs in our buildings, please keep updated student and staff rosters that have emergency contact information. We're going to require you to share those with building coordinators, just so we can have a head count of who's in the buildings. We do require that you collect daily program attendance. That doesn't have to be shared with your building coordinator, but we need you to be keeping it in the event that we need to consult it. And then finally, just as a peace of mind, please, if you're in a building with a building coordinator, please let them know if you're going offsite on a field trip. Just in the event that we need to know where your program is super helpful to us. So that's just some sort of general safety. And again, it's not on the slide, but in case of an emergency, you know, depending on scope, 911 first if it's 911, but then building coordinator and public safety should be your next calls. Public safety is here all summer. They're fabulous and can assist us, you know, in sort of anything that comes up. So just want to make sure that we say that. And then Zena, next slide. Transportation. So bus transportation will be provided for CPS academic programs. So that includes SOARS, which is former Title I, CPS Summer Scholars, which is our 5 through 7, our ELL programs, and our OSS programs will all have bus transportation. There will not be late buses this year. So all of the CPS programs are ending at 2 or 2:30. So just flagging that for folks. And then as we have in past years, we just want to emphasize for our little guys that bus tags are required up to current second graders that will be third graders. And for those little guys, a parent or a caregiver must meet these kids at the bus or they will not be let off the bus. And that's a standard safety precaution throughout the year. The protocols for each program will vary a little bit on what to do if a child's not met. So I will follow up directly with those folks about what specifically happens if a kid's not met at the bus. So that's the bus update. And then finally, a thing we're really excited about this year, and we really, you know, want to thank the Cambridge Health Alliance and the nurses who have stepped up to take on these positions, is we will have full-time CHA nurses in the majority of our buildings this summer. So hooray. We have a list of the school sites. So again, we're prioritizing schools with the highest number of kids and the highest number of kids with significant medical needs. And then the nurses will provide slightly different supports to different programs. So for all students in the building, nurses can provide first aid. They can provide COVID testing and isolation. So that was what I was referring to earlier. Our long list of COVID precautions now sort of happily is really down to our nurses can help you with the protocols and the testing if a kid seems like they might be showing the symptoms we're all too familiar with now. And then they are also a point of contact in a medical emergency. So at those sites, those folks will be available to support. For CPS programs, because we have this information, we have access to students' medical records during the school year, we can support medication management. They'll oversight of students with specific medical needs like diabetes, monitoring, things like that, and communication with families they can support. I also want to thank our summer nursing lead, Deb Reyes, who is the full-time nurse at the Baldwin School during the year. She is our lead nurse over the summer and will be helping to coordinate nurses' schedules. You know, if anyone's out sick, she'll be someone who can help support us. So that's an exciting new development this year. And then that brings us to our next steps. Like we said, pretty short and sweet this year. Khari, do you want to walk us through next steps?
Sure. Follow along if you like. So we'll be receiving more follow-up emails from us. Please make sure we're not ending up in a junk folder. We don't deserve that. And also, if you have not yet submitted your summer meals request, please reach out to those point people ASAP. We do still need, I'll repeat, anyone who has not sent in an MOU, a signed MOU for your program, please send that to us so we can complete the permit process. There will be opportunities to meet your summer building coordinator. Sometimes there might be some assistance from us. Sometimes it's more you being proactive and reaching out to them, but more information will be in emails that will follow this. We do want you to connect with them prior to the start of your programs. And sharing your staff and student rosters with those building coordinators as well as Maggie will be important to do by July 1. And for those folks who are proficient on Google Docs or Sheets, that might be a way that you can keep it up to date as well as compared to sending something multiple times over the summer. But Once we have one from you, we will follow up just to be clear on like, are there updates, and making sure that we are hopefully as accurate as possible throughout the summer. And then to make sure you conduct, as I'm sure you all are already mandated to do, a health and safety orientation with your staff using the information from this slide deck. And then also relay questions that may come up that are specific to your program that you may not have thought of course, until you get together with your team. So, as Vidad said, have a great summer. And it's coming before we know it. So have a great ramp up to the summer as well. Let's open up questions. And yes, we can put a link to the slides into the chat. So if you want to come off mute or raise your hand or however you want to do it, if there are more questions.
And we'll also watch the chat too, if it's easier to type.
I'll go first. Good morning, or yeah, still morning. Good morning. It's a long day. Am I to assume, and maybe I already know the answer to this, parking at individual schools, and I'm going to be at CRLS. So is that something that I would coordinate with the actual space itself, i.e. the security desk at CRLS? That's who I should then talk to about, will my teachers have access to the garage? If so, how many spaces? Am I correct in thinking that? And then the second piece, while we're also there, it's a similar question, which is regarding, because CHSA has incoming teachers from whatever, the Graduate School of Education. Inevitably, we're going to need access, they will need access to Wi-Fi. Is that also an on-site type of thing that I would need to sort of parse out with ICTS about what does that look like specifically for CRLS? So hope those questions were clear.
Yeah, totally. Thank you, Mr. Whitfield. So I'll take it in two parts. For parking, we'll definitely coordinate parking through the building coordinators. So folks who have questions about that, please direct them to your building coordinators and they can help with the garage spots and stuff, figure that out. And then for CRLS, I think it's a little bit different because we've got both the safety office. And so I think, Mr. Whitfield, what I would do is email Kim Gabidian and then we'll help sort of function in that building coordinator role, because I think we might be able to help parse out the questions to Alicia and Robbie and those folks a little bit. We can sort of be the clearinghouse for those.
It's a question about Kim's last name, how to spell it.
Hi, yes, sorry. Thank you. I have the same question as Mr. Whitfield. Just
Oh,
Kim.
yeah. And I will say, CC me, Kim is tremendous. It's her first year in this role. And so I feel like I'm assigning her things in a meeting she's not in. So if you CC me, that would be great. So I'll actually put it in the chat for you guys. It's in the slides, but I'll also put it in the chat.
Thanks. And I also heard a question about Wi-Fi, and our experience has been that the CPS public Wi-Fi remains active throughout the summer. Of course, I don't have a switch for that. So if something is happening different, you would reach out to ICTS, but the expectation should be that that is available in all buildings.
And I think some of the questions that you all raised are good nudges for us to say, we can check in with ICTS, see if we can get a blanket statement. And I do think of these notes as a communication tool. So if there are things that come up in today's questions that are relevant to everyone, we can add them onto the slides. So that way you kind of have one-stop shopping for information from us.
Maggie? I'm going to ask one. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So John Roderick.
Hi, all. Couple questions. Vidad, just the dates that were given for the buildings for setup to be open was a Tuesday, the 27th, to a Saturday, the 19th. But is the buildings? Can people come in on the 26th of that Monday of June? Or are we giving that for teachers to close up their classrooms?
I'm gonna jump in and say that I'm thinking a Saturday date was likely a typo on my part.
Okay, and then
Um,
also with July 4th falling on a Tuesday, is that Monday also a day off? Custodians, is buildings closed on that Monday, the 3rd?
I don't believe they are. As far as I know, I would have to check the calendar, but I think the only holiday is it's the 4th. I know a lot of people will definitely try to take Monday off as well. But I am not sure. Let me just try to pull up the calendar real quick.
Just for, for setup for programs that want to get in the week before they start.
Mhm.
and while Vidad's looking that up, and I think John looks like you're set with your questions. Are there any other questions?
I have one more. Earlier in the meeting, you said, and so I understand if you don't have an exact answer to this question, but it does help. The reason I'm prefacing context, the program, the CHSA is fairly large, and there are some external people, particularly at Hugsy or otherwise that would be coming over working with us. How many of those non CPS CRLS badges would I have access to? And again, if you don't know the exact number, I understand, but just out of curiosity.
Yeah, so the usual policy is 2, but I think Mr. Whitfield, for your program at CRLS, just general logistics wise, I think it might be worthwhile for you and I to have a quick check-in just to make sure that we've got all your logistics wrapped up, because I have a feeling you've probably got a list of questions. Yeah, not that you can't ask them now, but I'm just thinking, ooh, we should have a talk.
Thank you for that. I'll send you an email setting up a day and time.
Awesome.
And I
Maggie, I
also,
see a question. Oh,
sorry.
so I was going to relay one that's in the chat. Seems like this question is maybe around buildings that have both an elementary school and an upper school in them. So for instance, at Pause or, Caleb VLUS. Can you say a little bit more? Is the point person the same for both campuses?
Same. Yeah. And I'll update the slides to reflect that.
If I can just jump in, John, the calendar, obviously the current school calendar only goes to the end of June. And the other one doesn't start until September. So it doesn't really cover July, but let me reach out and find out. As far as I know, Monday is just a regular day, unfortunately. But I'll find out. Again, I know there's definitely going to be a lot of requests for that day off. So, but we will definitely provide coverage, in buildings so that they are available on the 3rd of July. And your other question was about teachers cleaning up their rooms. So the last day of school is the 22nd. So they would have the 23rd and 26th to, clean up their room before camps are allowed back in on the 27th. But we can definitely, arrange if somebody has to come back at a later date that week. We can probably work around that. If you know specific rooms, specific teachers, we can make that happen.
Thank you.
A small question in the chat. Cambridgeport is one of the sites that doesn't have an assigned building coordinator due to the small number of programs there, but I'll make sure I add that to the slides. Thank you. I was just skimming the chat and saw 2 questions, so I can start us there. And Elaine, I think your question might be in the chat, so I'll take it, and then if I don't have it, we can go over to you. So someone had asked what time meals will be. That's something at each site that you'll work out with the site coordinator and the summer meals program. I believe when you put in those original forms, you put your preferred meal time. So what we're going to do is look at all those and sort of figure out a schedule there. So I think it varies by building how many kids are coming and going. And then the next question that was in the chat was about building coordinators having access to all students in Aspen. And so, Elaine, can you nod if that's your question, if I'm catching that? Okay. So I think that is something that I need to check in on and get back to the building coordinators about. And so building coordinators, we're going to have a separate meeting. And so I'll make sure that I have an answer there. All right. And then, Elaine, anything else?
I had one more question.
You got it.
The access to the buildings for the badges, I have everybody's ID numbers already, which I can send to security and have them turned on. But my question is, are we gonna get the regular badges, like the extra ones that we always get? Because I have 2 that are out of district. And then I also need a couple for community schools.
Yeah, so I was speaking with Alicia Barrows this morning, and they can give a certain number of temporary badges for each program that doesn't already, the staff don't already have CPS badges. I think the goal is to have 2 of those badges per program. If that's feeling like a hardship, please, write me an email and I can bring it to security, but that's the goal, so they don't have to track too many down at the end of the summer. Cool. Michelle Farnham.
Hey, Maggie. Hey, everyone. Just a question about what time will the building coordinators and the nurses be on site until each day?
Sure. So the building coordinator schedule is going to be between 7 and 3 or 7:30 and 3:30. So they're going to be a little bit on the early end. And then the nurses are, I believe they are 8:30 to 2:30 in the buildings this year. So following similar to the school year, that schedule. Nice. One more in the chat that's from Beth Kirshner about VDOD coordinating moving materials from Berkshire to the program sites. VDOD just had to step off for another call, but we'll put that in the parking lot and follow up with him about that. I believe he and the custodial staff can assist with taking the lead there. I just want to check with him to make sure.
Okay, thanks, Maggie.
Yeah, no, you got it.
I have one quick question. For the
Sure.
summer, for any like maintenance problems and all of that, are we going directly through VDAD? I might have missed that because I missed a couple of minutes in the beginning.
I think that should go through the building custodians.
Okay.
Per usual. I think if there are any, other issues, knock wood, nothing crazy will happen to our chillers this summer. But that sort of thing.
We already have an issue in the gym, so I want to be able to.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, to echo VDOD, you're welcome to send that sort of stuff over to him. Claudia Cruz, if you're still here, we have a question about the process for adjusting lunch orders.
Hi, yeah, sure. So when we do the training, we're going to go over how they can adjust food orders on a daily basis. We're going to provide the phone number that they will need to contact and, what to do in those cases.
Awesome. Thank you.
If there's no more questions, thank you for joining us and for getting ready for summer, because it's not summer yet, but for it to be a good one, we appreciate all the preparation.
Yeah, thank you again. Thank you for the time, and know that we're all here to support you, so don't hesitate to reach out.